Make a wish for once with a secret. And if I manifest best, guess I'll keep it. I'm sick, go with the flow, new flow, up phones one day. Thought once, thoughts come, what's when, yes, I need it.
Welcome to Pop Culture Cuties, the podcast that blends local business with the broad pop culture. Each week, I sit down with North Georgia's movers and shakers, business owners, creatives, and industry insiders to talk about their work, their journey, and how their field connects to the broader pop culture. If you love great conversation over tea and wine, then this is the place for you. Before we get started, I want to inform and remind viewers that the upcoming Volunteers for Literacy Duck Race and Duck-a-Duck competition is forthwith. You've seen on Facebook and businesses at Clarksville and Cornelia Libraries and at the annual Mountain Laurel Festival in Clarksville for the past 5 years. The ducks from this competition, you've seen large yellow ducks dressed as characters such as like Rapunzel, Little Miss Muffet, Clifford the Big Red Dog, Huckleberry Finn, and Dolly Parton have been the object of exclamation and adoration wherever they are seen. The 6th annual Volunteers for Literacy VFL Duck-a-Duck contest will be held in April, and all duck race sponsors and supporters are eligible to enter. Sponsorships are available beginning at $100. Ducks can be decorated as characters from all varieties of categories, or they may be directed to market your business. Sponsorships are not limited to businesses. Individuals are also invited to enter. There's also a cash prize for your winning duck, and the fee to enter all goes to fund Volunteers for Literacy. So now that we have concluded this information section, we will move forward and greet our guest. We are joined by Kayla, founder of Mountain Maven Concierge Co, a luxury concierge service specializing in personal travel planning, curated events, and exclusive experiences. Kayla, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been following you for quite some time, so I'm so appreciative to finally get to meet you virtually.
Well, thank you. Yes, that's one of the best parts of the magazine and the podcast, just connecting with so many different types of people. And I love what your business is and what you do. And I love that your business is built around making North Georgia getaways seamless, stress-free. But before we dive into that, I want to ask you your story. You spent years in real estate operations in Atlanta, but what inspired you to kind of leave the hustle and build something of your own? Because real estate is a hustle. I used to do mortgage, I know.
Oh, gosh,
I mean,
okay.
You guys work.
So I worked in real estate starting in 2016 into 2023. So those years in Atlanta were, building back up after the recession. Atlanta was obviously like a superstar city, lots of people moving there. Interest rates were really good, so lots of people were buying. Inventory was low. I managed a team with about 5 agents and was the listing partner and operations manager. Absolutely loved the team that I worked with, loved working with people. That's one of the things that led me to like finding this passion that I have of helping people. But yeah, I was burnt out. I love Atlanta. I love to go visit Atlanta, but I don't want to live there anymore.
You know what? That's fair.
It's so nice, the drives that I take now. I used to have white knuckles driving through the city, every day. I lived in Brookhaven, and our office was in Old Fourth Ward, right across from Ponce City Market, which I loved getting to go over there. But, it was just like the gridlock of every day, and there were no breaks. Even on the weekends, going to the grocery store was a huge chore. So
I know that drive. That's a tough commute. I would have never survived, and nobody else would have survived either. It would have been cataclysmic. Yeah, so I try to avoid anything as crowded, like anything past Gainesville. I try to avoid these days. Where are you located now?
I live in Clayton, so
Oh,
just about
okay.
5 minutes from downtown Clayton. Absolutely love it.
I
It takes
do
me
too.
it takes me about 5 minutes to get to anywhere I need to go, for the most part. With the exception of obviously like my concierge services that I service all the way up through Rabun County and through Habersham. So when I travel for a service, I travel a little bit further, but like my general day-to-day life is within the city limits of Clayton.
And the interesting thing about Clayton is that I used to live in Beaufort, and the traffic was terrible, and there was a lot of businesses in Beaufort, but they were a lot of chain businesses. There wasn't a lot to do in Beaufort if you weren't interested in eating at Chili's or Chili's adjacent kind of restaurants. But in Clayton, even though it's so far up north, you get much greater variety and quality of dining and activities. Like, I am much more entertained living in Habersham close to Clayton than I ever was in Beaufort.
It's amazing. And honestly, so I've been coming to Clayton my entire life. My mom grew up in Lakemont. Her family is from here. So coming up to Clayton in the 90s when I was growing up, it was a bit of a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
Not many of the it was hustling and bustling when my mom was growing up. And then there was really kind of a dead period within the downtown. And I really feel like it was Wander who kind of triggered this reimagination of how Clayton could be. And watching it change over the last, 5 to 10 years. And even since I moved up here in 2023.
Gosh, even the past 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And I mean, we have multiple new things coming. We've got a chicken and steakhouse coming, a music venue coming, a new like family area that'll be like, I think that they said that it's gonna have like cornhole and mini golf and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just amazing. It is the best.
It's gentrified. And
yeah, it's the best place to be. I absolutely love it. And I was telling you earlier that I'm a big Gilmore Girls fan, and there are many moments in my day-to-day life that I feel like Lorelai.
And that's going to be one of my questions later on, actually. Oddly enough, it ties in a little bit of what you do at the end and on all that. So yes, we will definitely get to that. Now, as far as your business goes, like, what exactly does Mountain Maven Concierge Company do?
So imagine the things that you don't want to do while you're on vacation, and I do all of that. I do your grocery shopping and stock your fridge. A lot of people travel up here for special events too, which I have found to be so enjoyable. One of the things that I most recently did was a group of girls came up for a Galentine's Day little fun vacation. So like set them up with spa gift bags and did a little like Galentine's balloon arch setup. Helped them arrange services to like do tastings at all of the wineries and be able to like get around with Georgia Shuttle. Things like making reservations, transportation. I do a lot of gift baskets. So primarily I just do the 3, but I do like a wine and like local wines and chocolates. Local for the guys, I'll do local beers and like whiskeys and stuff from Moonrise and nuts and everything like that. And then a s'mores kit for the kids. So I do all of that in addition to people who are specifically traveling here. I also help with a lot of local events. So whether it be like a child's birthday party, a wedding shower, a baby shower, I'm doing a rehearsal dinner. I am not taking large weddings at this time, but I've done some micro weddings, so less than 50 people. So lot of different services, but yeah, one of the things that I would say is just the things that people don't want to have to worry about when they're on vacation, specific to the concierge side of things, is handling whatever they don't want to handle. So reservations, food, transportation, all of the above.
That is such an interesting service, and it's such a millennial service, right? It's something that could only a millennial could think of, I feel like. And I don't know, it's actually very forward thinking too. So, and the reason why I say it's very millennial is because we like our luxuries. Millennials love our luxuries, but it's also understanding how vacations work now. So often through Verbos and Airbnbs, and how so much is tied into this idea of creating moments. And it's something that, like I said, I think a millennial, maybe an older Zoomer, it's what it kind of feels like, are the type of people that would come up with this. And it's definitely very cutting edge. I don't see a lot of this. And it's a smarter way to do travel agency work.
Yeah.
And I say that because I've actually talked to a lot of travel agents recently, and they apparently that business is really, unless it's international travel, apparently at the travel agency work, I know some people that are doing it for like 20 years, 15 years, and it's essentially gone. But what you're doing is much more, I think, specific to the era that we live in, and you've had success with it, it seems. Sorry, my cat may knock over this camera. We're in a really precarious spot. You can see him in the corner.
I see. That's hilarious. What's your cat's name?
His name is Augustine Biscuit.
I like that.
Thank you. He's fat and sassy, and he needs to move. Dude. Sorry.
No, fine. Yeah, I definitely saw a need for that here, and what I guess would make me different from a travel agent type person. And I get why, I see the value that they bring, but I also understand why it might be slowing, is because everybody has the information at their fingertips. When I was planning not international trips, but planning a trip to San Francisco, I planned a trip to New Orleans. And where did I go to get all of the information that I wanted? Social media.
Yep.
I went and looked at where the people that like the things that I like went. And then I planned my reservations and my activities around that. So I definitely still see a value, especially with international travel, to be utilizing them. But
you're gonna get your passport stolen if you don't. You don't want to go to Estonia without a agent.
Being so hyper local focused, I haven't even expanded to Highlands or anywhere in North Carolina yet, which is my goal long term. But as it is now, just being me, I have found that it's enough to travel just between Raven and Habersham, considering how big the counties are.
Yeah.
So, maybe a few years down the road, when I am hiring more people, we can reach out to more to cover like a larger area. But right now, my focus is solely on Raven and Habersham County.
Oh, yeah. And there's, I always jokingly call this area, the Montecito of North Georgia, because we have so many wineries here. And it's a deceptively fun-filled place to go, especially for adults, especially for, the 18 or 21 and older crowd. There's a lot to do. And that was actually going to be one of my questions was, where do you cover? So it sounds like you do kind of that Habersham, Clayton area. So I will pivot and I'm going to ask, what's one of your favorite experiences you've planned for a client?
Definitely. So there's two that come to mind. So I'll give you both of them. I definitely love a girls' weekend experience, and I love helping plan to take them to the local wineries. I live literally 2 minutes from Tiger Mountain, vineyard, and they have been doing like massive renovations over there. But I did a VIP tour with some clients, and they like take you around on the golf cart. They let you actually like walk through and see the grapes and do all of that and taste while you're doing it, which is just such a fun experience. I have been lucky enough to go to, when I went to San Francisco, went to Napa Valley and got to experience like a wine tour. And really, Georgia is bringing their A game as far as that's concerned. I would say it is just as good of an experience as being in Napa Valley.
And
so love that.
Yes, and Tiger Mountain Vineyards, you know, they're in Tiger, and you know, right next to Clayton. And from what I understand, they've won several international awards for their wine. They were going up against several major Napa Valley planters, and they also went over against like several, like from like I think France and Spain, all of the usual suspects, and they won.
Yeah. Their product is amazing. I love Stonewall Creek as well. They're awesome. I mean, it's a vast selection up here. And even I don't plan this for my clients at this time, but even outside of Rabun and Habersham counties, there's a lot of great North Georgia wineries that I've gotten to go to and experience myself. So I would highly encourage anyone who enjoys like the outdoors and wine to do that, especially this spring. Like, it will be magical. The best time is spring and fall for sure.
You're so right about that. I mean, and you know, you can go hiking and then you can go to a vineyard, you know, and oftentimes these vineyards are in such beautiful locations. Like, gosh, I went to Terra Incognita not too long ago and did yoga at Terra Incognita or Incognito, and then I went on to the back deck and chatted with people and met some really interesting folks, had some really lovely samples of wine. So you really can have it all here. Now, kind of pivoting into a conversation about just success in your field. You found success in Atlanta's highly competitive real estate market. And when I say highly competitive, I mean oversaturated. It's a tough place to, and not only did you survive, but you were, as I understand it, like top of the league in that. So the travel industry, and I would say more specifically in this instance, social media is also a very saturated market. So how do you set yourself apart in such a crowded landscape?
Building relationships with people I love social media, and I think it's a great platform to spread the good word, but especially in this location, it means nothing if you're not building relationships with people. So for instance, one of the things and one of the places that I found the most business is through like a local business group. It's called the CMBA, the Clayton Merchants and Business Association. They put on things like our block party, Ramshackle, and they have just been phenomenal. So it's just getting involved in the community and building relationships with people, because although a lot of my business is based on tourists, and so it's, you know, people that are outside of this community, just building relationships with people here, that you get to know the people who are, you know, the property managers of Airbnbs, and then they recommend you to their clients. I mean, it's just, and it's building trust and relationships with people. I think outside, you know, social media is great, but I think it's outside of social media. I think it's people knowing that you're a good, trustworthy person. And I have to say, every experience that I've had here in regards to like other businesses building you up has been phenomenal. Like it's not competitive. It's like, how can we all help each other and build this up? And it's just been such an inspiring experience, because I just launched this business in November, and to have this success that I have at this point is pretty spectacular. And I'm really thankful for the community for doing that, because I can't take full credit.
And, you know, you make a great point. I love that about Clayton's business community. I live in Habersham, but so much of the community I've built in terms of like business relationships is in Clayton because they are so forward thinking. They're really active. And they're just actually, honest to goodness, just nice. They're very friendly. They want you to succeed. They help you succeed. I've made so many friends up there with, Clayton Yoga and Bar. Even though I'm the worst yoga student in the world, it's true. I'm very passionate about doing yoga and enthusiastic, but the ability is zero, and they don't even laugh at me. So
You know
that
what?
means
It's
a
just
lot.
showing up. That's what you got to do. You just got to show up for yourself.
Oh, I show up. I show up. But yeah, so obviously there's that, and then High Roads Tasting Room. I love Linda Ann and Nat.
She's phenomenal. She's part of the business group that I'm in, and she's been very just gracious and helpful and informative. And I think they're celebrating 1 year today. And I just, I congratulated her the other day about their 1 year because I know just from November to now what it takes to build a business. And that first year, getting to that point, I think is a huge accomplishment.
Yes, and I love their business. They were my first podcast episode.
Oh.
I was so nervous. I actually had to shoot it twice because you couldn't hear me in the audio. I was too quiet and too nervous. I mean, they were superstars. They're great broadcasters. They were teachers, so they knew what they were doing, but they were so patient. Let me do it twice. And then there's also people like there's Carla Wright, there's Cheryl Webster, Tracy McCoy, just all people I've come into contact with who, again, like they're very invested in you succeeding. And I've been in a lot of business networks because I totally agree with you about relationships. That, yes, you can market on social media all the time, but it's so oversaturated and so unauthentic. You don't even know if you're talking to an AI half of the time.
Yeah.
So if you want to grow your business, you have to shake some hands, kiss some babies, and you have to also, you don't do it for accolades. You do it because you actually like people. So often you hear these days, I hate people, and there's this misanthropy that exists, which just assumes that you yourself are just some kind of delight and God's gift to the world. And so totally with you there. I even read recently, I didn't read it actually, I'm gonna admit, I was scrolling on Instagram, wasting my life, and I kept seeing this trend of Zoomers talking about how they don't want to connect with their older bosses, and how they're like, oh, I already go to work, 40 hours a week. I see people 40 hours a week. Why do I want to go and grab a drink with my millennial or Gen X boss? And many of the millennials and Gen Xers, pre-COVID people that were in the workplace, they like these relationships and going out, and they're often disappointed because they can't really have a relationship with their younger coworkers. And what I found interesting is that, many of these same people, you read in trends in like the Wall Street Journal and otherwise about how they're not getting promoted as often. And I think there might be a connection between these lack of interpersonal connections that kind of impede your ability to be upwardly mobile in your career. And that's part of what this podcast focuses on, are ways to build your career and build your network, because ultimately marketing comes down to who do you know?
Yeah. And, it's just, I was thinking about you saying how they unfortunately are not getting promoted and everything. And I think that social media is kind of to blame for that, because instead of building relationships, their cup is filled through scrolling, through that they feel a connection to people that they've never met. And I think that that's one of the great things about social media. Like I said, is like I already felt like I had a connection to you because I knew you liked certain things that I liked, and that's amazing. But you have to be able to back it up with real conversation. And I think that that's just not a skill that's taught to the younger generation at this point. I think that think that they're just happy to feel connections through social media, and that is not enough, I don't think.
For upward mobility in one's career, yeah, well, but I think we've kind of covered that one. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Your network, what is it? It's an old slogan that used to go on the memes. Your network is your net worth. And of course, we shouldn't use people as a mere means, but this is never about using people as a mere means. It's about helping each other to achieve your objectives. Now, going back to Mountain Maven, is there a formula for creating the perfect trip?
The formula for creating the perfect trip would be to understand the people that you're planning it for. Because the perfect trip for one family or one couple or one person is not going to be the perfect trip for another. So one of the things that I do is I start off by asking a lot of questions, what they like, what foods they like, what activities they like. Some people want to stay within walking distance of Clayton. Some people want to stay way out, away from everybody. They don't want to have to come in town at all. They want to, escape the hustle and the bustle of wherever they live. So the formula is understanding people and asking the right questions and making sure that you understand what their goal is with the trip and making that happen.
Yes, that's excellent. And it ties exactly into what we were saying about getting to know people in a meaningful way. And how do you decide on the best experiences to offer? We kind of touched on this a little bit. Do you have partnerships with local businesses, or is it your expertise just built entirely on lived experience?
It's definitely a combination of both. It's my experience as well as building a network and relationships with people that I know do good business. For instance, there are several businesses that I've been able to meet with and work with. Chevin, she owns Splendor Mountain, which is an event venue, and she has been amazing and super supportive of my business from the get-go. There's another company called Lucky Guest, and they have some homes up here, but they also have event space. Again, just super supportive, amazing, great communicators. And that's what when I am on vacation and I'm renting an Airbnb or a space, I want somebody who is a great communicator, because sometimes you can't find things, or sometimes, you have questions about how to access something or any of those things. So when I know that I can trust someone to be a great communicator and provide a great service, especially if I've experienced it firsthand, whether it be from just meeting them or through showing them to other clients and then getting feedback, that's really the best way to provide that service.
That makes a lot of sense. And now we're going to go ahead and transition into our rapid fire sequence. Okay. We'll try to answer these questions in 3 to 5 words. And I have to admit, I really like your business model, so you get extra rapid fire questions.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
For better or worse, I think I have some fun ones. So what's your go-to getaway spot in Raven and Clayton, as far as, I wouldn't say an inn, because I'm going to ask that question later, but what's your favorite day activity?
Hiking.
I
personally, I like to do the short line trail in Tallulah, then hop over to the tea shop down there and get some tea and some coffee and just super chill, amazing vibes. This past weekend was wonderful weather, and that's exactly what I did, and it was an amazing weekend.
So when you say the short line trail, is that the one with all the stairs?
No.
Okay.
It is super.
Yeah.
It is. I use an app called All Trails, but it's a super easy trail. I've got 2 dogs. I went and walked them there myself. It's cake.
Gotcha. Okay. I need to look into that. I didn't know that there was one that connected to Tallulah 1882, so that's really good to know. Now, luxury or adventure, if you had to choose one for your next trip?
Luxury.
Mm. Yeah, me too.
I love both.
Mhm.
But personally, what I would like to have in my life right now a little bit more is like a spa day. I'd love to just like maybe go up to like Old Edward's Inn and just have a magical like spa, super chill day.
An amazing place. And I'm all about, I really want to go to I really want to go to Patagonia. I want to do some white water kayaking. I want to do all of that. But right now, I could really use a weekend at Old Edward's Inn. You hit the nail on the head. What's the most underrated in town in North Georgia?
Like the most underrated town.
Mm-hmm. The ones that visitors might like if you're a visitor coming from out of state, you're inclined to go to Helen or you're inclined to go to Blue Ridge. But where's the town that's kind of under the radar that you would recommend?
Demorest.
That's such a good one.
I love Demorest. It's so cute. There's great food. The vibes are like, yeah, Demorest for sure. I feel like a lot of people don't know about Demorest.
They don't. Gosh, I live here and I don't know, actually I take advantage of it now, but the first year and a half I never did. And now, my daughter's 17 months, so we go to that beautiful sun-dappled park. It's exquisite. It's like if a Hollywood producer wanted to make the perfect park, they would make Big Springs Park and Demorest. And there's sweetbreads, which is gourmet cooking, and it's cool. Like there's a dragon on the ceiling, and there's this giant Buddha on the wall with the glowing lights behind it, and these kind of desi chic pillows, and this exquisite patio, and the most wonderful waitstaff. And it is a gourmet restaurant in this tiny, seemingly inconsequential town. I mean, you literally blink, you miss it.
Yeah.
With Piedmont College, which is lovely, and then Farmhouse Coffee, and now Holden Oversoul.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Place.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Oh yeah, wonderful. That's such a good spot, and it's definitely underutilized. And let's see, our next question is, if you could curate a dream vacation. Actually, we just kind of covered that one. 3 favorite restaurants outside of Atlanta.
Ooh, oh, this is hard because I like so many.
That was a tough one.
Outside of Atlanta too. So I'm just going to stick with the ones that I frequent the most up here. So they'll be very Clayton specific. Although I do love restaurants outside of Clayton, this is the area that I typically dine at. So I will say Fortify Kitchen for sure. Mm-hmm. I also love the restaurant at the Lake Raven Hotel. I don't know. Have you been there?
I haven't.
It's just super magical and quaint. And for like have you been to Stakoa Creek yet? The new restaurant here?
I haven't. Is that the new Asian restaurant?
No, Raven Social is like a fusion restaurant, but and I love them too. But Stakoa is on the other side of Clayton Cafe.
I've seen it, and I've been saying it wrong. So it's one of those things where you read it and you don't hear it. So I didn't recognize it.
I could be saying it wrong. That's how I say it.
Probably right. You're probably right. It's like the Soki River, and I know I'm saying it wrong, but nobody else knows how to say it either. I've asked they don't. Even the Watershed Association doesn't know how to say it. So,
So we'll just say it how we do, but we went there for New Year's Eve dinner, and it was phenomenal. One of the things, I love the quaint restaurants up here too, but it is nice to like go to and I love Vandiver as well. We went there for my birthday. It's like got mid-century cool vibes. So lots of options up here, which is why I rarely leave to dine anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that we can give them a bit of a spotlight, no matter how small. They are wonderful, and I keep trying to spread the good news of Clayton out there and proselytize. So, best season to visit Rabun County: fall, spring, summer, winter?
I personally would say summer.
Really? I almost didn't even make that an option. I almost just said fall or spring.
Which, like, to me, I'm like spring going into summer, like not like August summer.
Right. That's not good for any. August is bad for everybody. It is category. I will die on this hill that August is the worst month of the year. But anyway.
But
yeah.
Which my husband was born in August, so I hate to say that, but it is blisteringly hot.
It is. It's miserable. And you're just so done with summer by that point. But you're right. That area between like May and June in North Georgia, like, is beautiful.
It's warm in the day, the nights are cool. It's still nice enough to like have like my gas fire pit lit.
Mm-hmm.
The bugs haven't gotten really bad yet.
Nope.
That, you know, in that earlier part of the late spring, early summer, the lake is getting warm enough to swim in. I'm just like a summer girl through and through. I absolutely think the fall here is beautiful, but I'm a spring summer girl.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you're in your best life right now. Is it we finally get a little bit of a tease of what spring is going to be. Now, what is your favorite coffee shop?
Up here, it's definitely going to be White Birch, just like for the vibes.
I haven't been there yet.
You haven't? Oh,
no.
I mean, their pastries are phenomenal too. The coffee is really good, but the vibes and the pastries are like chef's kiss, as the youngsters say.
They do. I need to do it. It will happen. And we are now going to, normally, this is the part where we kind of connect your business to the broader pop culture, but you and I, we first connected over Gilmore Girls, a show that holds a special place in the heart of the Cute North Georgian magazine, as well as just generations of women due to the cross-generational approach of the show. And let's be honest, I will take any excuse to talk about Gilmore Girls. But that said, I totally think we can connect Mountain Maven to Gilmore Girls, beginning with, if Stars Hollow were in North Georgia, or we'll say Northeast Georgia, which town would it be?
I personally would say Clayton.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would too, actually.
We have our little gazebo downtown.
Mm-hmm.
We have our characters. You know,
yes,
like,
the Flamingo Man. There's Flamingo Man. Have you the guy that just
yes.
walks down the street washing people's car with a little radio?
Maybe like Kirk vibes, but like maybe not a little bit.
For sure, Kirk vibes.
Jack of all trades, because I think he works at Rabun Social and Walmart, and like then does all of that other stuff on the side. So has like every job like Kirk does.
That's amazing. Yes, Kirk core for sure. No, I totally agree. And is there a Rabun County Luke's Diner?
Yes, it's Sunday Diner, hands down.
Never heard of that one.
You've never been to Sunday Diner?
Not even heard of it.
Oh my goodness, you have to go. I was actually telling the lady who runs the Visit Clayton social media the other day. We had our CMBA meeting there, and I was like, you need to do a coverage of this with like Gilmore Girls music over it, like it's Luke's. Like, oh my gosh. Next time I go, I'm going to send you some pictures so you can like see what's on the walls. And all of the coffee cups are different, and it's just super homey and cozy. It's amazing.
I'll post it too on my social media page. Give them a shout out for sure. And what is the most Dragonfly Inn that you would suggest?
Ooh, that's hard. I feel like White Birch could have those vibes, but also I'm gonna have to say the Lake Rabun Hotel.
Mm-hmm. I need to look into that one. I keep hearing good things about it. It sounds like they have a good restaurant too.
They do, and like they're like you'll see when you go, or if you look at pictures, they've got like a piano in the lobby, and like people can just randomly play. Like one night I was there with some girlfriends, and some guy was visiting from another city, was like a semi-famous pianist who'd played with like Billy Joel or something, and was just like rocking out, like not paid to be there, just supplying music for everyone. It's fun, and they've got books and games, and you know, that definite kind of vibe.
I love that. And which North Georgia event could you see Lorelai and Rory attending?
All of them, really, but I think of that episode, The Lazy Hazy Days of
Yes, I love that one. I did a dog pageant and just played that one on repeat for a good 10 minutes, just for my own personal joke.
So for that reason, I'm going to say Ramshackle, because it's in June. So it's like in the middle of the summer. It's up here in Clayton, and phenomenal music, vendors, all of that stuff. So I'll say Ramshackle for sure.
And that one's coming up, and I think actually the Cute North Georgian is going to be partnering with CMBA to promote that, as I understand it. So, yeah,
yes, they just announced the bands earlier this week, and I've given them a listen. They sound awesome. So
I'm really excited. And personal Gilmore Girls takes: are you more of a Lorelai or a Rory?
I figured you were going to ask me this question.
Yes, this one ties into the beginning, right?
And I was like, if she asked me this, because it's so hard to say, because there's so many parts of all of them. And I would even go as far as to say there's a lot of Emily in me too.
You know, that's good. I should have asked if there was, I should say Lorelai, Rory, or Emily. I'm going to do that in the future.
You know, they're, especially in the reboot, like, I feel like you get a better, like, Emily doesn't seem as cold.
She doesn't.
I mean, at some point she does, but like you see really the struggle with her more. But I would have to say, if I have to choose, I'm more of a Lorelai.
I can see it. Very bubbly, friendly. I could totally see it. And yeah, I have to say for that one, I'd say I love reboot Emily. Right? She's so much more human, and she's always had a bit of a I don't take BS kind of attitude in a way, you know, in a polite way, but in her Emily Gilmore way, right? She's not going to like pick a fight in public or start a public brawl or rant on Facebook or anything like that. But she also has always been able to kind of assert herself. And I loved seeing her just be like, I felt like she was kind of embracing her age, you know, like she was like an older woman. She's like in her 60s, and she's so done with pretense and looking for something more authentic, because I feel like kind of the only thing authentic in her life leading up to that was her relationship with Richard. So yes, I agree. I love Emily in the reboot. I do kind of identify with a lot of Emily and Rory. You know, there's a lot of Rory hate out there.
That's unfortunate. I love Rory.
I don't understand it at all. And they always go back to the mistakes that she made. I'm like, yeah, it's a TV show.
And humans make mistakes.
Big ones.
They date guys that aren't right for them. They, you know, they don't treat their family perfect all the time. You know, I think one of the hard parts with that is like when Lorelai and Rory like had their falling out. Like I at that point was like really upset with Rory.
Yeah.
I watch Gilmore Girls every single night. It's my comfort show. I go to sleep to it. Like I have watched every episode more times than I can count. Rory and I graduated high school the same year.
That is so cute. I love that so much.
I started watching it in high school. When it came back on Netflix, I had like all the DVDs and everything and would watch it. But once it came back on Netflix, if they ever take it off Netflix, I'm going to die.
Oh, well, that's why they have DVDs, right? So
streaming. I know, but DVDs don't just keep playing like Netflix.
That's true. Uh-oh. Well, your mouth to God's ears, so it'll stay in Netflix. And
would you ever be open to another reboot? Like, do you
Oh,
want to see
yeah.
what happens with?
Sure.
I have to see what happens.
I still watch the Downton Abbey reboots. I mean, they're terrible, but I will never not go see it. It's fan service, you know, and I'm cool with that. It doesn't have to have the same hard hit that Gilmore Girls did because it is fan service. It is a victory lap, you know. So people, I think, it can be very critical of the reboots of these things, but they're never meant to be, I think, as good as the originals. You can't recapture that. But it's just meant to be a bit of a hoopla for those of us that are still connected to the show.
For sure.
And now this is the most important question of the whole evening. Jess, Logan, or Dean? Who should Rory have ended up with? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You must disagree.
Jess
You must be a Logan girly.
I am. I do. I love Logan. He's charming, funny, smart, you know, and so is Jess, you know, to his credit. I do like Jess. The only wrong answer is Dean.
Oh, 1,000%. Yes, that is the wrong answer. And Jess, like, he didn't treat Rory great, but he grew so much as a person. And those little clips that they got to give us of him being a better version of himself, like, I think made everybody be like, oh, this is the person we wanted you to be all along. But I think Jess had so much good in him.
He did. He definitely had he and Emily had the best arc, like the best, I think, dynamic arc out of all the characters. They really had a lot of growth.
For
Maybe
sure.
he didn't rely, but they definitely had a lot. Now, best and worst Gilmore Girls boyfriends, and I'll give you some choices on this one. So there's Suki's husband Jackson, Luke. Oh, I think, yeah, they got married. Christopher, or Richard's college girlfriend, Penelyn Lott. So there's Jackson, Luke, Christopher, or Penelyn Lott.
Worst, we're saying?
Yeah.
Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher is pretty pathetic. The whole not.
I mean, Penelyn, the stuff with Penelyn, none of that was to me like her fault. Like that would have been like blaming things on the woman when Richard was the one who owed Emily to be truthful, not Penelyn. So she immediately is like taken out of worst. Jackson was just fun. I mean, I didn't like how controlling he was about wanting to have like the amount of kids that he wanted to have with Suki. I didn't love that, but like generally he was just like a fun, nice dude.
Offensive, but he gets a lot of hate too on the Reddit threads and all that. So I don't know. I find him fairly inoffensive. Just, you know, I thought he was kind of funny. You're sleeping with the turnips, I guess. You know,
oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm surprised Max wasn't on your list.
You know, he doesn't show up. I think people just forget about him, including me. I forget.
Because Max would have been next worst to Christopher.
What do you not like about Max?
I just felt like he was like super condescending, and I mean, I don't think Lorelai was like great to him, but I definitely think that he thought he was smarter than her and better than her, and I think there were a lot of reasons why, you know, they didn't work out. But yeah, Christopher by far, especially if only for like his relationship with Rory outside of Lorelai.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't a great dad. So
totally agree with you. And the best, in my opinion, the best love interest for Lorelai, it's not Luke, Jason Stiles, and I'm so alone on this island, but I think they were the only two that could match each other, like witticism for witticism. I
definitely,
you know, they were both,
I can see that.
They were both always doing business on the phone at the same time and kind of just power couple, and they were, and he really cared about her, and I feel like the whole reason for them falling apart was just so she and Luke could get together. But what do you think? Who's her OTP?
I think Luke.
Yeah, that's fair. It is. And that's my second favorite because he was always there for Rory from the very beginning.
He just he just loved her so deeply. Almost, I mean, obviously to a fault, really. And I think that she took his love for granted, but he loved her and he loved Rory like wholeheartedly. Didn't love the way that he did everything. This is gonna sound so bad. I can't think of her name. His daughter, April. Like the way that he did Lorelai with April, like was totally wrong. But just generally, Luke was a great guy.
He was. He really was. And I do enjoy that character a lot. We reference his quotes all the time. Like, I found somebody else's socks that had been staying the night in our drawer. I'm like, Alex, that's my husband's name. I have another man's socks. And in true fans of the show, we know Luke has socks with the gold rim on it. And Lane Kim, did she deserve better in the reboot? Or do you like hers? Okay.
I loved Lane, and I always felt like Paris got more than Lane did. My husband is a huge Paris fan for some reason. Like, he's always just like, Paris is awesome. Like, when I'm watching it, I'm like, she's cool, but like, she can be pretty awful. And Lane was just like lovely all the time. She was just always like it felt like Paris and Rory were really like worked side by side and like got, were equals, I would say. But for some reason it felt like Rory was always
not see that. She's like the townie friend.
Lane, but like it just always felt unequal in their relationship.
Yeah. They made her into a townie, and like the worst kind of townie, because she had very little, like in the reboot, you have her husband who's like in his mid-30s, just now getting promoted to assistant manager. She didn't get to fulfill her dream. They're still living in that kind of broken down house. And I just thought, and you're right, they always had, so by the end, it was more of Paris and Rory succeeding. Lane was the townie friend who sometimes crashed at her dorm. So, yes, I think the whole world is in agreement. Lane Kim deserves better. If there's another reboot, I do think they will fix it. I have to believe, from my mouth to God's ears. And last question, favorite Gilmore Girls one-liner or iconic scene?
Ooh. Coffee.
That one's a classic. Yeah. That one's a classic where I need coffee through an IV.
Yes.
My favorite scene will always be the fight scene in, like, I think season 6 or 7, when the whole family just fights it out, and it's one long camera shot.
I know exactly which. They're at the dinner table, right? And it's going around each of them. Yes, that's a really good one.
Oh, it was hilarious. Oh my gosh. That scene lives rent free in my head. Whenever there's like a family conflict, I'll like send out that video, and it usually it's actually a good de-escalator of conflict, because you see that and you realize that's what's happening right now. So not only is it hilarious, it's a great de-escalator to any family conflict. Now, how can our listeners connect with Mountain Maven Concierge?
Via my website, mtnmaven.com. By phone, my phone information is on my website, and of course, Instagram or Facebook.
Absolutely. And that's all for today. Be sure to tune in next Thursday for our Instagram Live podcast episode, or catch our latest episode tomorrow when I have uploaded it on Spotify and YouTube. We can't wait to have you join us. Take care, and talk to you guys soon. Bye, cuties.
Bye, Carly.
Make a wish for once with a secret. And if I manifest best, guess I'll keep it. I'm sick, go with the flow, new fate. Up phones one day. Thought